Hello and welcome. I'm Kathy Maniello with Forevermore Homes, and welcome to our series, Aging Gracefully, Smart Choices for Physical, Financial, and Emotional Well-Being. Today we are here to talk about something that drives many of us crazy, and that's having just a little bit too much clutter around our home. So I'd like to welcome Karen Warner. Karen is the owner of Caring Transitions of Guilford. This is a company that helps people downsize, relocate, declutter, auction off estate items and other things, I'm sure. So Karen, in that role, has quite a bit of insight and knowledge about how to help us declutter. So Karen, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this. Our viewers are going to love it. I know prior to you becoming the owner of Caring Transitions, you were a nurse.
Yes.
All right, explain. How did you go from nursing to decluttering, and how did your background as a nurse impact what you do today?
Well, it's a very good question. So I was a bedside nurse for over 20 years, and I worked in the cardiothoracic ICU, 10 of those 20 at the VA hospital in West Haven. Wow. Working in the ICU, you need to be incredibly organized, have very good time management skills, and you have to make sure that you're doing everything in an efficient way. So I learned how to do things efficiently, not have a lot of mess around me, so I could take care of the patients.
And literally, that's a life or death type situation.
Yes, it is.
So my messy pantry is not a life or death
no,
situation.
it's not.
But I can see where the skills and having to be so quick on your feet and having to be organized and having to have your workplace organized would prepare you to do what you do today.
And it transferred into my family life. It transferred into my next career, which was in sales. And so when I thought about what I wanted to do in the next career of my life, I felt that Caring Transition married those two careers beautifully, sales and being organized, working with people with all different needs, especially seniors. And the most important piece in all of this is learning how to declutter before you decide to have a major transition in your life.
I'd like to talk about that a little bit. What are the benefits of having a decluttered environment?
Oh, there's many. So one of the benefits, I'll give you several.
Yeah,
it
please.
Promotes productivity,
okay.
Right? If you have less of a mess around you, you don't feel so stressed, and you can go about your day not having to worry about getting through the stuff in your house. It also increases and improves your mental and physical health. You also have better focus, and you have a higher self-esteem because your house, your apartment, wherever you live looks nice, where you can invite people in and you're not embarrassed from all the mess that's there. You also have better relationships with your family and friends. I know several family members that because of their mess in the house and so much clutter, that the relationship with their children or spouses is not good. You also have health benefits. You have a lower risk of asthma and allergies because clutter collects dust and germs.
Perhaps mold. And
yes, there's a lot of pieces to that
in your environment.
Exactly. And then you also have improved lifestyle and well-being. That goes back to just feeling good about yourself.
Yeah. I can totally relate to that because I went to your seminar that you did at the community center, and you inspired me to clean my home office. Now, most people would look in my home office and think, it looks fine, it looks great. But for me, and tell me if I'm weird, everything like has to be with like. So all the yellow pens have to be with the yellow pens, and the brochures have to be with the brochures. And when I have that disorder, it's not that it looks bad, but it just feels chaotic to me. In a world where I find you don't have much control over things going on, to have control over your workspace feels gratifying. Is that?
No, that is it in a nutshell.
Okay.
For you, that's important. For someone else, maybe it's not the office, but it's the kitchen.
Right.
My kitchen, I don't like anything on my counters.
Yep.
My daughter's kitchen, she has everything on her counters.
Yep.
And that's just preference.
Everybody's different.
Right.
Yep. I'll have Shannon share an after picture of my office. I didn't think to take a before picture, but like I said, people seeing it wouldn't see that big of a difference. But to me, there's a tremendous difference, and I feel just so much more organized. Yay! So thank you for your
You're welcome.
inspiration. But this is hard for many of us. Why? Why is it? Why do some people just cannot get their head around?
Well, because it's easy to put off, you know, I'll take responsibility even for myself. You know, my garage is full of stuff, and I come in the garage and leave the garage, and I just totally ignore it. And, you know, and I know that it needs to be done, and we actually are in the process of doing that, but it's hard to get started. You could think of so many other things to do. It's the other piece is you don't know where to start. If you don't know where to start or how to start, you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's with anything in life.
Yeah.
You don't have a plan. Shannon actually made a good recommendation, make a list, you know, and everybody works differently. Some people make lists on their phones, some people make a paper list, but when you put a plan in place and you have that list in front of you, even checking off one thing is progress.
Well, that's another thing that I find too. Many things I work with don't really have a start and a finish. They're projects that just go on. And to check off, oh, I cleaned my office today. It's like, yay.
I did something good.
I did something, I started something, I finished it, and it feels good. So I think you're right. There are so many benefits.
It's also, I will tell you, it's physically overwhelming for some people. They just see the mess and they know that they can't clean it themselves.
Yep.
And to that end, it's also emotionally overwhelming.
I see.
And if you close the door to the mess and you don't see it, then it's not there. And that can be a problem because then if it's not there, then you don't think you have a problem.
Right.
And you do have a problem. It's just that you're ignoring it.
For me, it doesn't matter if the door is closed. If I know what's behind that door, it's still problematic for me.
Well, and you know, one of the biggest things that really makes it hard to get started is people think about, what did I pay for that item? And when they put a value on that, they are really reluctant to get rid of it, even though it is accumulating, but they have a monetary value on it. And so they think, I'm not going to make any money on it. And so it stays in place. And that's when the piles start adding up.
Okay. So Karen, I mentioned the presentation you gave at the Guilford Community Center, and the seniors were so appreciative of that. I know that you inspired me. I think you inspired some of them as well. I went back to your presentation and re-reviewed it, and I pulled off some of the tips that you gave. And I pulled off the 10 top tips. I'd like to go through those. The first one is start with 10 minutes a day in a small, manageable space. That sounds pretty self-explanatory. I get that, but tell me more about that.
Well, it's just like making a list. If you commit to 10 minutes a day and a specific place or a specific pile, it's doable.
Yep.
You know, you only committed to 10. If you said, I'm going to do it today without, you know, a time frame, then it's undoable. You'll get sidetracked. You'll find other things to do. So if you could commit to just 10 minutes a day and say, I'm going to start cleaning my desk or organizing my pens like you did, it's doable. And you say you had a small success and you're happy with your progress. So by limiting to that at the beginning and having a plan, it works.
Do you find that many people reach the 10 minutes and they're like, yeah, this is great. Let me keep going.
I do.
Yeah.
You know, and other people that I've talked to, you know, then they think, wow, that 10 minutes went by really fast. I mean, how did you feel when you were organizing your office?
All right. So for me, I can't do the 10 minutes at a time. I have to just commit. So my commitment is I just take everything out, and I took everything out of my closet where I have shelves and storage. I emptied the shelves. So now I'm committed. And guess what? If I don't finish, I can't cook dinner because everything's out on my kitchen cabinet. But that goes back to the fact that everybody approaches things differently. And whatever is going to motivate you to start and to get the job done, I think you find your own kind of personal motivation, but I do like the concept of starting small. I think that's really great advice. So the next tip you say is to ask yourself, how much is enough? How much is enough? And then let go of the extras.
Right. And that's a very good point. And during my presentation to the senior center, it was interesting because I got a lot of responses on this one, or questions, is that when you look at your house, do you need 400 coffee mugs? Right? No. When do you stop? Do you really need 3 or 4? And so when you look at what you own, do you need 500 pens, right? And people in the audience said, well, yes, I do, but really you don't. You're not going to use 500 pens in your lifetime or drink out of 400 coffee mugs.
I'm laughing because I recently babysat for my grandsons, and I opened a cabinet, and there were 400 sippy cups. Do they really need 400 sippy cups? No. Busting out the cabinet. So ask yourself, okay, my kids maybe I need 10 sippy cups based on my dishwashing cycle, and then get rid of the rest.
I'll give you an example even for myself. I love black pants.
Yeah.
All right? Black pants. How many black pants do you actually need? Maybe 7? 1 through 7 from Monday through Sunday. Right. You don't need like 42 pairs of black pants.
Right.
And when you come to that realization, but that's a realization that's different for you, to me, to anybody. Yeah. What's enough for one person is not enough for somebody else. But it's starting to recognize that I really don't need all of this.
Right. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Give everything a home. My yellow rubber pens with my yellow pens. Yeah.
Right. So the good news about this is that if you designate a place for everything, then it actually over time becomes a habit.
Okay.
So for example, in my house, when you walk in the back door, we have key hooks. Mm-hmm. It used to be when we first moved in the house, the keys got thrown on the kitchen counter. Then somebody was saying, where are my keys? I put the key hooks by the back door. Yeah. It's become a habit. We hang the keys up. And so what you want to do is, by giving everything a home, a pen holder, a place for papers or a place for your mail instead of just throwing it. You don't want something to become a catch-all for everything.
Right.
Dining room tables are a good example, or kitchen tables. If people don't have dining rooms, they start throwing things on it. And that, over time, starts to be a catch-all, and then you lose track of all the stuff that's there. Right. So if you give everything a home, then it becomes a habit.
Over time.
Over time, it goes exactly where you want it to be.
That's great. Okay, so now you're talking about making a deal with yourself, and that deal is equal in, equal out.
That's something that is a learned behavior. Okay. If you learn it early in life, it's a great thing to incorporate in what you do.
Buy a pair of black pants, I give a pair of black pants to Goodwill.
Exactly. Okay. So, example. Again, I just bought these black boots.
They're beautiful.
I went in my closet and I took out a pair of black boots that I know I will never wear again because they have high heels. So if you go by that mindset, and it doesn't even have to be clothes, if you buy a new pan for your kitchen, remove or get rid of the old pan.
Yep.
Give it away, give it to someone that needs it. But by doing equal in, equal out, things don't accumulate.
That's wonderful advice. I love that. Number 5, pause before purchasing and think about your budget differently.
Right. So if you go shopping, and you pick up something, you're going to Home Goods, and these holiday items look great. I'm putting them in my cart. If you walk around the store and start thinking to yourself, do I really need another Nutcracker? Okay, and there is a difference between the need and the want, right? It comes down to, do I want it, but do you really need it? So if you pause and you walk around the store, you'll actually say, you know what, I really don't.
Yeah.
Or even for that matter, you really liked something, you went and you thought about it, but thought, you know what, I'm going to come back tomorrow and get it. By tomorrow, you've totally forgotten what it is.
Right.
If it's a necessity, so it's not a want, it's a need, food shopping, for example,
Sure.
then you'll definitely do that. But if you pause before purchasing, it'll help you really identify what is the underlying reason why you're buying it. It also helps your budget.
Sure.
You know, just spontaneous buying, you'll go through money a lot faster.
Yeah.
So if you pause, it's a good way to budget.
You know, I've been in a store and I've walked around and I've put items back for that very reason.
And it works, right? And if you actually ask yourself, where will this piece be a year from now?
Mm-hmm.
While you're shopping, and if you don't have a good answer for that,
You don't
put it
need
back. And again, this works differently for every person, but it is a good way, even one thing in your cart. If you pause and just think, I really don't need this, then it will help in the long run.
Good advice. We're moving through your list. We're on number 6. Curate mementos and curb the collections. Tell me.
It adds up.
Okay.
And I will say that I'm guilty about this,
Yeah.
and it took me a while to undo what I was doing. I saved everything from my 2 kids' elementary schools. I mean, every single piece of paper.
Every picture, every painting,
And I
every
think
report card.
a lot of parents do that.
Yes.
Or pet parents, you know, you save everything. And then years ago, I thought, oh, I'm going to declutter all this stuff and I'm going to just put it in file folders. So I took the big totes and I downsized what was in those totes into file folders. Still too much, because when I asked my kids, oh, do you want it? They're like, why? So you have to think about that and really what's important. You could take a picture of these, you know, these memories these
Sure.
days. Phones hold everything for
Or
people
store it
now.
on the cloud.
Exactly. The important thing is work to choose a few mementos that mean the most to you.
Right.
It's not the value, it's the memory of it.
Right.
And keep that. Clear everything else out.
Yeah.
It's because really at the end of the day, it's important to you. Those are your memories,
Yeah.
but there are ways to curate those memories so you don't have clutter.
Right. And what about the collections? Talk about the collections.
The collections are
Like Hummels and...
right. And that goes back to a couple things. You know, back in the day, people collected things because it represented success. Or represented, you know, I can buy these Hummels. They're beautiful. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
And now, how much value do they actually have? So for collections, you know, I recommend either pay it forward, give it to somebody maybe that wants it, ask your family members, you know, do you want this? If they don't want it, give it away.
Yeah.
Donate it. You know, there are so many people that would enjoy these pieces.
Right.
I actually talked to a gentleman yesterday, and he said to me, Karen, I want to find someone that wants my items, that will value my items as much as I do. I don't care about getting money for them.
Yeah.
I just want them to find a nice home.
Right.
And I really
I'm sure
liked
a lot
what he
of
said.
people feel that way.
Yeah.
They don't need or want the money, but they want to know that they're
Going
something
to
that was
another home that
yeah,
people value. It.
Right. Great. Okay, number 7. Have the conversations, then pay it forward.
And this is a big one.
Yeah.
Have the conversation with your families, either your children, your spouse, your siblings, you know, basically asking them, what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go back to my kids. My daughter wants nothing. She absolutely wants nothing. And my son, on the other hand, would take anything I give him.
Okay.
But there comes a time even he cannot take everything. So it's identifying what you want. My father was an artist, and prior to him passing away, he numbered all his oil paintings.
Yeah.
And he said, now I want you to go around and pick the ones that you want
Okay.
between my 3 siblings. And I thought that was a really good way to do it.
That's a great idea.
Right.
Yeah.
You number it, you put a label on the back, and this is the person that it's going to. And you want to free the notions of what society thinks versus sentimentality, right?
What do you mean by that?
So, you know, society will say, well, keep, you know, the sterling silver, you know, place setting set.
Right.
When really, you know, why? it looks nice. It represents status when really it's just collecting dust.
Sitting in a drawer. And then
Right,
you have
doing
to polish
nothing.
it.
And you have
Yeah.
to polish
And
it.
that's why most people don't use their silver, because they just
Right.
don't have time to mess with that.
And that's the piece. And the other piece is that you want to think, can somebody use this more than I can?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best part about giving something away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I completely agree. Oh, this is interesting. Hide items on purpose. What am I hiding and why?
So this is a good one. So you've made great progress with decluttering, but you're still unsure about letting go of some things.
Okay.
My suggestion is to get a black garbage bag, put the things in the garbage bag, and put them away either in your basement or in your garage or in your attic. If you find within a 6-month time period that you haven't looked in the bag, you haven't
think about the stuff,
you haven't thought about the stuff, you don't need it, you take that bag and bring it to a charity of your choice.
Gotcha.
If during those 6 months you find that you've gone back into that bag because you got rid of something prematurely, then take it out.
Okay.
I will use a great example. I do that a lot with my clothes. I put them in a bag, but I tell my husband immediately to take it to Goodwill. If he leaves it in the garage for even a week, I go back in the bag and go, oh, you know what? I really shouldn't have gotten rid of that shirt. But if he had actually gotten rid of it very quickly, I don't think I would have ever thought about it again. So this is a good way of doing, it's a kind of a middle ground.
Middle ground, a first step without making the commitment.
So drastic. Or that you've given it away and then you were like, oh my goodness, what did I do?
Yeah, why did I give that away? Okay, number 9, digitize, then ditch.
Yes. And so a lot of people, have VHS or cassette decks or, those small, I don't know what you call them, but they only have a shelf life of 10 to 30 years. So keeping them in your house because they have memories, number one, I don't know anybody that has those big VHS camcorders or actually has a VCR. Some people do, but a lot don't anymore, and they're very hard to find. The nice thing is stores like Costco, Walmart, Walgreens offer services about transferring film or VHS into DVD, Blu-ray, and digital video files. There's also websites like Legacy Republic and Legacy Box that will digitalize your VHS.
So you mail everything to them and they
will
put it
do
all on computer and they send you back a file or
a thumb
drive.
a thumb drive or whatever medium you want it on, if you wanted it on a DVD. If you'd rather do it yourself, there are components where it will transfer your VHS to a DVD for your Mac or PC, and you could buy those, anywhere, and you could do it yourself.
Great.
And the nice thing about it is, I will tell you, I did it. My father immortalized our growing up on slides, right? Who has a slide projector these days?
I don't know anybody that does.
Not one person. So I bought a box that you put in. It's a 1-by-1 job, but I had my son do it. You put the slide in and it transfers it to the computer.
That's wonderful.
And then I shared them with my siblings.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
They must have really appreciated that.
It was wonderful for me to even look at them because I hadn't looked at these slides in like 40 years. So it was just really nice.
I would probably be crying. But that's wonderful to have done that and shared with your siblings.
Yeah.
Awesome. Number 10, this is the last tip. I'm sure you have so many more tips, but we're going to keep it to your 10 here. And you say, give yourself time. What do you mean by that?
It doesn't happen overnight.
Okay.
If it's a small job, so for you, you did it in a day.
Mm-hmm.
But for some people, like I said, it's extremely overwhelming. So if you start with those 10 minutes a day and you progress over time, and time is different for everyone. It could be a month, it could be 5 months, it could be a year. But you need to stay on track by having that list or having it in your phone, knowing that your goal is, let's say, I'm going to clean my office.
Mm-hmm.
Any progress is is good progress.
Yeah.
And it's different for every single person.
So don't be too hard on yourself thinking the stuff didn't get there overnight.
right? And it's not going to go away overnight.
Okay.
And that's why I say every person is different. Don't compare yourself to your friend that said, you know, I did it in a day.
Yeah.
Well, you're struggling to do it in a week or
Right.
a month. So do it at your own pace. Progress is progress, I feel, no
Okay.
matter how big or small.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Karen. I think probably Shannon is inspired to go home and clean out a pantry or a closet or something, as you inspired me. And I'm sure that you've inspired our viewers as well. So thank you very, very much
You're
for
welcome.
sharing. And we are going to put your contact information up on the screen. If the viewers have any questions, they will reach out to you, and I know you'll help them.
I will.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you for your time, and I want to thank Shannon for filming this for us.
Filming and editing and
Yes.
everything else she does to keep this GCTV running so smoothly.
Yes.
So thank you, Shannon. And we'll see you again in our next edition of Aging Gracefully, Smart Choices for Physical, Financial, and Emotional Well-Being.